Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Well, Sam Downing, aren't you looking the studious one?
Are you perhaps making an observation that I am back in my studio?
Back in the studio, Sam. Yes, indeedy.
Very switched on. We all love a bit of wordplay, even if it is whatever time it is in the morning. But yeah, no, I certainly am back. How are you, mate? It's good to see you.
I'm very, very well, very well. I mean, I'm been busy, a little bit filming and blah blah blah. But how are you doing? Because I mean, you've been the one away from home on tour with the wardrobe in the background, but lots. Yeah. How many performances have you got under the belt now? Because I know you've been whizzing about.
We did a couple this week, 2 or 3 the week before, I think. So we're about halfway through our fairly short run, and I say short run in that it's, I guess, short in numbers, not in dates, because it's actually quite spread out. So we've still got almost another month or so to go, but not probably another 5, 6, 7 performances within that time frame. But it's just a bit all over the place with regards to dates and locations. But it's going really well. Really, really good feedback. Really positive responses from audiences. We had a lot of people tune into the live stream, which was great as well. So, yeah, all going pretty well. So, thanks for asking. And here's cheers to How's Your Father, the show, and to equally you were back out again as Einstein, weren't you?
I was, mate, and that's I didn't, and I apologise for not making the live stream, but I didn't get back in until very late at night, having started very, very early in the morning. I had 5 o'clock calls to the makeup truck. So I literally getting up at 4 a.m. and then getting I mean, it sounds very glamorous getting a car, but I mean, although I didn't the first day, I was staying not far, staying in a hotel because there were supposed to be tube strikes and it didn't happen and blah. So, but I was in a hotel and I walked to the set to the makeup
using
truck.
Your own feet.
I know. I mean, I was disgusted and disgraced, and it took me, but at least I did get a car home in the evening. So that's And
I'm going to bring it up, and you probably don't want to talk about it. We're going to make you talk about it anyway. Did you have to take a car somewhere else at some point during your filming period that you may have mentioned to me and didn't expect me to mention now?
Yes, because there are very strict laws around parking film crews and lorries and associated vans on residential streets, and quite rightly so, because we do start filming, film companies, because of the nature of the business, it all starts, as you are very well aware, starts very early in the morning. Yeah. And whilst I was in my little makeup vehicle, about 1.5 miles or so away from where we were filming in this lovely little house, lovely big house actually, and I'm called at 5 o'clock, so I left home at about 20 to 5, got there, and there I was having everything slapped on. And then I'm sort of thinking around about 8:30, 8:45, I might need to go to, do what
call of nature.
I needed a pee, mate.
Yeah, right.
And also one of the makeup girls was going, yeah, we've been here 4.5 hours and I need to wee. And I was like, yeah, So, but there is nothing around because we had to be parked off the road. So they'd found a parking bay. They suspended the parking bay. And these are all the little ins and outs that go into filming that ordinarily people don't know about.
Well, exactly.
You've got to shut the street off, and then you've got to talk to all the neighbours because the house that we were filming in is used often. So they go around and they talk to the neighbours, and we say, and nothing ever starts before 8:30 in the morning, which is a residential time for noisy works.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway, my bladder was definitely starting moving before 8:30 in the morning, and I spoke to one of the actually the second AD. I was going, I might need. He went, oh yeah. There's nowhere around here, is there? I went, no, and there was nothing on the truck. And usually they hire a loo, which is known as a honey wagon.
Yes.
And it was like, There isn't one. So I had to have a car come and pick me up, take me to the location, which had several loos, and then drive me back to finish putting the makeup and costume on. So yeah.
We've pulled you up on this before. We've talked about this before, about the glamour of being picked up. Yes, it's early starts. Yes, it's long days. Yes, it's hard work. But being picked up and chauffeured around is fairly swanky. But to have that just so you can go and urinate, I mean, it's pretty impressive, mate. It's
could I just say though, in my defence, the alternative would have been worse.
It would have been less glamorous. I think that would be absolutely
far less glamorous. Yes.
I mean, where you would have made the puddle is fairly irrelevant at that point, because you would have been making a puddle, and there would have been circumstances. So
there would have been ramifications, mate. That's all I can say.
Indeed, but enough about your
enough about my bladder.
Your habits, yes, habits and movements, and God knows what else. What's newsworthy at the moment, mate? You must have some stuff to report.
There are a couple of bits. I've got my notepad here. We're always talking about there are constrained times in the theatre, and we were talking to Simon a little while ago about the Arts Council getting funding and how it works. And then, of course, there are times when it doesn't work. And we know there are several theatres recently that have gone into either receivership or have closed. And it's actually hit the National Theatre of Wales, Welsh National Theatre. They've had £1.6 million Arts Council cut. Now, and they've said, we've got a life expectancy now 6 months unless that is reversed or other funding is found. I don't know the position of why this cut has been made. The Arts Council. I could only imagine, and I would hope that Welsh National Theatre are doing great work. There is no artistic. It is purely financial. And but it does make you wonder if that's the National Theatre of Wales. That does good work, like all national theatres. A lot of things come out of that: touring, community work, and also training young actors and young professionals and creatives within a national theatre, which we know the English National Theatre does. All that is lost. So there is a great deal. I know 1.6 million in these straitened times is a lot of money. However, the knock-on effect of people losing work, losing their income, there's going to be a lot of people that will lose their work, lose their jobs. It's that knock-on effect, I think, is important.
It goes far beyond just the initial, it's the loss of a theatre or an outlet for theatre. Sad times. We can but cross our fingers, and obviously we're using our own platform. Our platform is not enormous, but we are using this opportunity. If anyone is in a position where they can support or perhaps knows more and can push things to somehow help out there, then please do, or please get in contact with the National Theatre and see what can possibly be done. But you mentioned it. We do recently seem to be seeing a lot more of this, which is shocking and very saddening. Times are tough, but I mean, we don't need to go over it because we've done it so many times before. But in times of need, a lot of people do turn to theatre or entertainment in some form or another. And the more we remove those outlets, or the more those outlets disappear, the harder times will become. So,
and it's also interesting, just before we move on, is how short a lifespan of an organisation that big is. You give yourself 6 months. That's March, and the theatre's gone. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, how dependent on the grant, but also once you've got that grant, once you're producing work, you've got audiences coming in, then you have an income. But how perilous the business is, we will talk more about it, but there's a theatre very close to my heart the Octagon Theatre in Yeovil, that has plans and has a massive fan base and audience base, and does amazing work within the community. Not only, and I've worked there many times. It closed for refurbishment, and now, because of local spending and cuts, etc., the money is not there to make to do the refurbishment, and there are questions about when it will reopen, if it can reopen. So I mean, I think somehow, because it's an important theatre to the region, it will there will somehow, but there will be plans. But it certainly makes you think that it's such a fine line that these big organisations, these theatres, and you see them working, you see them busy, but take that away, and it's it's a very tenuous business. Although we've said it many times, we bring a lot of income in.
Well, we do, yeah, and it is quite circular, isn't it? It is that whole sort of loop, and you take something out, and what are you affecting down the line? And I know that's very much not specific just to theatre or to performance art, but you do have to look at it in the same way. We know it's a business. We know it exists to make profit, but if you don't invest, you don't have the facility to do that. So
absolutely. I mean, you lose if when any organisation, I mean, we've just seen the collapse of Wilko, as the high street shop. You lose a theatre. All those people, they've lost their jobs, so that means they're one way or another not going to contribute tax wise or purchase wise. The knock-on effects economically surely outweigh the 1.6, or maybe reduce the grant, but don't withdraw it, because you're going to lose that theatre forever. And once it goes, they very, very rarely come back. Or if they do, it's some time, and that's sad.
Yeah, we to put it simply, we hear a lot more about theatres closing than new ones reopening.
That is true.
I should say, it's.
Although Trafalgar Productions are going to buy I hear they're going to buy the Churchill Theatre in Bromley. So that's good, because that will secure it. They're a fabulous production company. So that's going to,
is Churchill Theatre not an ATG venue, or is that where the issue lies? Is it no longer ambassadors?
I don't know, but it sounds like that's probably the case. But if it's being acquired, then fingers crossed.
Both of us have performed at the Churchill. In fact, we've been there together at some point.
We have.
It's a lovely venue, so it's actually really well placed. I mean, there's the issue with it, I guess, is parking, because there's no parking nearby it necessarily, or not excessive parking, but it's well placed in Bromley. It's very easy to get to if you're using public transport as well.
Beautiful.
So an odd one there, but fingers crossed that will help them also, because they do take a lot of the main national tours.
A lot of tours, and they produce some stuff and great Panto House. So let's hope that's a good lifeline. That's a positive.
That's a positive.
That's a positive.
What are you going to throw next? Another positive, or
a little bit? Well, yes, in a way. Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. They had a judgment against them, and this is always. We are in these times of historic, in this case, sexual assault. I don't know the details, but the court has ruled in the case of the people who have accused Royal Welsh College, the defendants.
Oh gosh, right,
So they've won their case. It will have, obviously, for Welsh College Music and Drama, it's going to have an important ramification, but it does have. It will set a precedent by which, if I don't know the ruling, I don't know what the ruling, the legal ruling will be, and but it will radically affect higher education, and certainly higher education in the creative sector. So it'll be interesting to see how that works along the line. I know, and we do have to become more sensitive to people, and obviously if there's been a case of sexual assault, that goes without saying. You just deal with that, and but I just wonder whether with more protection in line, people in the industry, in our industry, are slightly vulnerable because we put ourselves on the line. People, there is a great deal of want, and people are very easily forced into situations. And we're verging into the area of Me Too now. People are, men as well as women are forced into a situation where you go, I don't know what to do. And it becomes awkward and illegal. And I think if it's dealt with in a sensitive way and it prevents things in the future or makes people feel safer, that's going to be a good thing. So we wait for the outcome of that and see what's happening.
There are lots of examples, aren't there, in recent history, Harvey Weinstein and other people in high positions. Obviously, that's not an educational setting, but it relates in the sense of using a position of power or targeting a performer or performers who are almost convinced, forced, blindsided into having to do something or into being in a situation that they don't want to be in, but feeling that's their only way. And with cases like this, and particularly the positive wins for the victims, survivors, whatever term you want to use, then perhaps this will keep pushing and make it incredibly difficult for these things to happen, which obviously is a very good thing, and it will start giving it even more airtime, if you like, and make those very few, we should say, instances
yes
occur,
I mean,
even less. So
thankfully few. On to now this story is both serious, but it does have slightly humorous side to it.
Okay.
A few days ago, a performance of Les Mis was interrupted by Stop Oil protesters.
As soon as you said Les Mis, I knew what was coming. Yeah.
Now, we won't go into the politics, the rights and wrongs of the protest or whatever, but it does strike me that, and I think very often this argument is used, that you are hitting the wrong people. There are people sitting in that theatre watching entertainment. And I know I heard one of the guys, I think his name's Hallam, from Just Stop Oil and Extinction Revolution, saying, that we this is getting our message across. I, however, think you're just pissing off, several hundred people that have spent their hard-earned money watching a production of Les Mis. You're pissing them off. You might be losing the argument a little bit. And as you said earlier, wouldn't it be better to go and change yourself to Rishi Sunak's car? Would that not,
Yeah, I mean,
emphasise your argument a little more?
Off air, we did have a brief sort of discussion, and as you say, we try not to delve into politics, particularly where it doesn't necessarily connect to performance, because there are lots of opinions. Not everything is right or wrong. It's not ever clear cut, but you do wonder about the kind of people you're targeting. And I've been very outspoken, not necessarily on here, but with friends and colleagues, about when people were gluing themselves to roads and blocking roads and stopping ambulances getting to life-threatening situations. Now, people may know I used to work for the ambulance service. It was a really rewarding career. It was fairly short-lived. As it is for a lot of people, there's high turnover of staff because it is very demanding. I understand that the protesters have a message that is very important. I am not denying that. But to argue that you're in the right to block an ambulance from potentially saving someone's life, that I think it's just abhorrent to believe that you're in the right there. I don't think that the message shouldn't be heard, but look at what you're targeting. So to go back to what we're talking about, these Stop Oil protesters got on stage in the middle of a performance of Les Mis. Slight side note, 99.9% of people in that audience would have travelled on public transport. It's in the middle of the West End. Driving there is nigh on impossible. Are you not targeting the wrong people again? But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And what a sad situation, because there will be people in that audience who are not particularly wealthy, so may have had to save up for a long time. These tickets may have been gifted. This may be something that they do once a year, once in a blue moon. and because of these protesters, that was ruined for them. I guess from the protesters' point of view, that it's done its job. It's got the airtime. It's out there.
It has. We're talking about it. It's in the press. They've made their mark. Yeah.
Not sure I agree with the execution in this case.
I think I might come down on your side there, but I did say there were two or three amusing little points to this. One was, I have to say, their timing was superb, because it was during the great protest song, "Do You Hear the People Sing?" and on they went. So their timing was impeccable. Probably one of modern times most successful protest songs, shall we say, within a musical.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, and the response was, I mean, the production had to be halted because with any for want of a better word, I'm not calling these people terrorists, but with any terrorist situation, any threat to the audience are evacuated.
Yeah,
and rightly so. One never knows what's going to happen. There was insufficient time to continue the performance, so it was effectively cancelled. But as the protesters, a couple of people stormed the stage, people were outraged, and in a great English tradition of stiff upper lip and let's keep everything polite, cries of "get off" and "how dare you" were uttered from the audience. Is one of the quotes I hear and read in one of the newspapers. I mean, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just wonderful? I mean, I'm sure the audience queued perfectly to leave as well, because we're very good at that.
Absolutely.
Isn't that brilliant?
Perfect filtration system as they were coming on. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's funny, actually, because I read an article, and I don't know if you saw this, or I say I read an article, I actually saw a clip, video clip. There was also a protest recently in Sweden. Similar sort of thing. I think it was Stop Oil Didn't Know. Right. So this is brilliant. And if you don't know this, and anyone listening, if you don't know this, Google it or look it up or find it on YouTube or another video clip. It's worth seeing. And I'm going to before the event sort of put in a caveat. I don't condone violence towards anyone necessarily. But. So in Sweden, I think the program's called Just Dance or something. I think it's a similar sort of thing to Strictly Come Dancing. And this was being filmed. They were recording an episode or recording a part of the series. And some protesters managed to get in there and put themselves all across the dance floor and throwing their paint around or whatever it is that they do. And as you say, over here in this country, cries of get off and
how dare you?
Yes, how dare you? That's not how they dealt with it in Sweden, and I cannot confirm or not whether it was deliberate, but there is a justly beautiful clip of one of the protesters stood holding up like a banner or a flag or something. And it's in front of his face, so he obviously can't see. And whoever happens to be operating one of the cameras on a long boom arm absolutely wipes him out. I mean, God knows how much these cameras weigh. That they're in the 20, 30, 40 kilos, I would think, on the end of a massive long metal boom arm, and straight in the face. Yeah, I don't think he got back up for a while afterwards. So yeah, I mean, I'm not condoning that. However, I don't think he was protesting much for a little while afterwards. So, yeah.
That was one close-up he didn't want, wasn't it?
That's very true, mate. Very true. And yeah, as I say, if you get a chance, look it up. If you can, yeah.
If you could bear the pain.
Oh, yeah. I felt for him, but also just desserts. Yeah, maybe a little bit. But anyway, enough of protesters. Because we may end up. I was going to say we may end up off on a tangent. I think we probably have gone on
a little bit. Yeah.
But it actually, and it is a segue, albeit quite a sort of convoluted.
Hooray! We love a segue.
We even convoluted segues we love, but it's made me sort of think of something that I actually meant to ask you, because we talked about it a little while ago, sort of. Now. Those people performing in Les Mis, some of them, like it could be their stage debut or their production debut or whatever. And for most of them, it will be a dream come true. It'll be landing a role that they have wanted to do forever, or that is right up there in the upper echelons of whatever. So they've achieved this incredible thing, and how dare some people come in and ruin that for them for not a cause that isn't worthy, but that we're going back over a bit, perhaps in the wrong way, but for every one of those people on the stage that is living their dream and has achieved something incredible, there are others who will have just missed out. And that brings me to a question that I wanted to ask you, because I'm sure with your 8,644 years of experience in the business, that you must have had a few. Now, I know you are a fabulous performer. I've been lucky enough to share the stage with you on many occasions, and you often nail the jobs you want to nail. But you must have a few that you didn't quite manage, like you got down to the last couple or the last few. I'd like to know some of those. Is there anything out there that you go, oh, I wish I'd got that? Really, truly, like you not regret, because it's not necessarily in your control, but just, oh, if things have been different.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, there was one or two that I never get to. I mean, that now I never get too excited because you know the odds and blah.
Yeah.
But it was when The Lion King first came to the West End, and they were doing a recast, and I was put up for various roles, and I went in, and it was Timor, the meerkat.
Oh, Timon.
Timon. And and I think there's I can't remember, and Yazoo, the advisor. He's some kind of bird, isn't he? What is he?
Some
kind of bird, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then now I've got a history of puppetry, and there is puppetry involved, which I love the show, I love the movie, the show, and I thought I would love to do that, and I had not long seen the show, so I kind of went, and I'd had friends in it, had done it, and acquaintances and new people, and they just said it is just amazing. So I got the first audition, and it just literally went along. They sent the a few lines, a few lyrics, and then go along, sing a song, sing a couple of they didn't sit and sing a song. So I went along, sang, did a little bit of acting.
Yeah.
Then they said, I got a recall. Great. So they sent a few sides, and which is technical term for audition papers, bits of script. So we sent bits of script, bit of song. So I went and did that, and then I got another recall, and they sent even more. And then they said, we really want you to work on this, and really want you to hear you sing this. And bearing in mind, this is Disney.
Exactly.
And Disney, have very strict, and their product is great, and you can see why they have very strict, blah blah blahs.
And equally, it's not just Disney, but it's huge characters. I mean, Zazu and Timon are like huge. People know who they are without. And
you sing probably the most famous song of the. You sing Hakuna Matata. That is, probably one of the biggest songs of the show. Arguably. Anyway, I really, and I was getting along, and I was going, and I was seeing the number of people sitting in waiting rooms decreasing, and I don't know how many I got down to, but I think I was down to the last 3.
Wow.
And it was, and I really was looking. I thought, I really, really love this, and I was planning my days going to the theatre, and I'll join a gym there and eat there, and this is, and I was. Now I got too excited too soon, because I just, I went in, did a recall, and they just came out and said, "Lovely, thanks very much, but not on this occasion," and that was it. It was like round the face. Not on this occasion. And it was gone. And I don't, I mean, every performer's done that, we've all done that, we've all, but that was the one that was like whipped away. But What about you? You must you.
Well, yeah, and I can't remember if I've talked about it before. I mean, I know I've talked partially about this before. Everyone that's listened to the show knows my favourite musical, Rock of Ages, was in it. Did a small scale version of it. It was fantastic. Really, really loved it. I then got an audition for the Norwegian Cruise Lines tour of it, which is massive. It's basically the shows on Norwegian are almost the closest you can get to being either national tour or West End, but on a boat, essentially. And it was massive for me. Like, this was the thought, like, I can go from doing a role that I absolutely adore to now doing it on a big scale. I'm not afraid to say for quite a bit more money. It was a very, very nice contract. And I thought, well, I've got to be in with a really good chance, because I've done it before, done it successfully. Like, I've got decent critical reviews and all this sort of stuff, and I knew the show inside out. So I went along and I got through 1 or 2 rounds, I think, and then got to a point. And then it was a similar sort of thing where I went in, did it, and they were like, right, go and just wait outside. And they came out and went, right, can we see blah, blah, blah. The rest of you, thanks very much. Off you go. And it just hits you. And
yeah,
that's probably the worst I felt for a long time, not getting something. I mean, I can't remember. It then led to the fact that, I think, long story short, if I'd got that, then I wouldn't have ended up buying my flat that I now live in, because I would have been away and things would have changed. So actually everything worked out for the better, and equally I would have been away for a long time, which wouldn't have been a good thing for certain reasons. But essentially everything does happen for a reason, and you can't sort of dwell. But that, after not getting that, is the lowest I'd felt for a long time, because
it does. It's amazing how
built it up. I was like, oh, I'm going to nail this, and I thought, oh, I can be away for this long, and I'll do this, and I'll go there, and I'll do that, and you do just you build things up. But sometimes you're not right. Sometimes there are other things that come into play, and
there are hundreds of reasons, aren't there? I mean, I think, now I always go in. Someone said, I was reading an actor, and they were saying, look, you go to work when you do an audition. It's work. You go to work, you do your best. That's just a shorter day. If it then leads on to other days, brilliant, But I do, and my attitude now is go to the audition, do the best you possibly can, and then when that door closes, go and have a cup of coffee and forget about it. Go home. You've done your day's work until they want more out of you, and then you try not to build it up too much. I've got one very funny story though. I have to tell you.
Go on.
I did a job once that I didn't want.
You did a job, but you didn't want it.
Yeah, I went for it. It on paper it looked great, and I'd left drama school, done a couple of jobs during the summer, and was moving back to London. I left my flat. All my gear was in my parents' garage, and then I was going to get that, move back to London, and in the interim, I was offered a job with a company that will remain nameless, based in the West Midlands somewhere. That's by the by. But I went, I did the job, and it would have been a combination of a schools tour, an arts centre tour, and small theatres. And on paper, it looked nice.
Yeah, of course.
And then I got home, and I was living at my mum and dad's. They said, "How'd it go?" I think it's all right, yeah, And I said, I don't know the ins and outs yet, the money. Anyway, they came back. They said, "We'd love you to do it." And I went, "What's the money?" And they went, "Well, what we do is we pay this, we pay that, but then if you sign on at the same time and claim this, and then when you're working, you can obviously you declare your earnings. When you're not, And I went, "Hang on a minute, so you're being subsidised by the government basically to do your theatre job." Anyway, I said, and then even with the money you're offering, I can't afford to do it because the guy stalked me.
What?
He stalked me. I got phone call. "Oh, would you please do it?" No. I've said no. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I can't. And I came off the phone after one phone call. I said to me, Dad, "What do I do?" I'm sort of, what do I do? How do I stop this guy? He went, "No is no." He said, all you can do is put the phone down. He rings again. Just don't talk. try and just ghost him, as they say now. The phone did ring. The guy went, no, just before you put the phone down, Andrew, where do you live? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive round, see you, and explain everything. I went, no, you're not. Jesus. So, yeah, I was, and I didn't hear from, but for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, almost a week, this guy just kept ringing up, going, have you thought? It's still no, I can't afford to do it. I can't do it,
Jesus. So just to clarify, though, when you said that you did a job that you didn't want to do, what you meant is you landed a job, but you didn't end up.
Yes, I landed a job, but I had to turn it down.
You didn't give in the end to this.
I didn't give in the end. No, I didn't. But I mean, lovely company, but it just wasn't for me under those circumstances. But the guy literally wouldn't take no for an answer.
So I have a story that's not funny necessarily, and I will definitely say from the outset I cannot 100% confirm this is true. This is a story, friend of a friend, etc., etc. The sort of typical word of mouthy sort of thing. But I have heard it from a couple of sources, so I think there is some weight to it. But it goes to show that it doesn't matter how good you are. There are always other circumstances. So, friend of a friend went for an audition, first stage, second stage, third stage, blah, 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 went through and through and through. Big thing. And agent was constantly going, this is going to be incredible. Stick with it. Oh, you're so close. Basically got down to a final 2. And as I may have mentioned this on the pod before, I don't think I have, but may have done. As you know, when you get down to sort of final sort of people, you often see the same people, because when you have a casting type, you're often up against the same people because they have the same casting type. So you don't necessarily become friends, but you recognise people and might be in touch with certain people. Now, this person in question got down to the final 2 and knew the other person, and they both did the final audition and went their separate ways. A couple of months go by, and they've heard nothing. So contacted the other one and said, oh, just want to say congratulations, I've heard nothing, so assume you must have been successful. The other person replied saying, well, no, it's weird, because I thought the opposite. I've not heard anything, so assumed that you must have got it. So it transpires that it was, and again, I say I'm not saying this is 100% true because I cannot confirm it, but from various sources I've got quite, so it turns out it was a rather large company who often not hide behind, but are represented by a big pair of black ears. And they were producing a kids' TV show, but either the studio had lost faith in it, or there was something that was stopping them doing it, until a gentleman stepped in and said, I don't mind funding the project, but you've got to put my daughter in the lead role. And they went, oh, okay, we'll do that then. And as far as I'm aware, that is how a certain young lady who had a hidden identity as a singing superstar TV show was born. I'm not going to specify, because who knows who's out there listening. But as far as I'm aware, I think that's enough clues for people to know what I'm talking about.
Solve it if you can. Yeah.
Yes. My Lee, what a story that is. Anyway,
well.
Yes. And I think that's probably enough speculation and stories for now.
I think yes. Well, we've left our listeners and viewers with something to solve as we go on our merry way. Have we got something for them next week, Sam? Have we got a
how about a guest?
Brilliant. I think we should do that.
I think we can do that next time. So next week we'll have someone on that's not going to possibly cause issues by regaling stories that may or may not be true, like I've just done. And maybe next time we can have we can talk more positively, not about roles that we didn't get, mate.
Yeah. Well. The only role that I want, mate, is to come back here next week and have a little natter with you, with me podcast buddies.
Perfect. And a lovely guest as well. We see you then, everyone. Take it easy.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. and please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.